If you've played Genius Invocation, you've probably ran into an Ayaka Yoimiya deck. It's no surprise that this combo archetype has taken the ladder by storm, seeing as how consistent it is. Masters of the deck are consistently finding ways to win by turn 3 or 4, closing out games ASAP. Yeah, you heard me right, as early as turn 3. What makes this OTK deck so powerful, and how can you replicate it? Today, I'll teach you the ins and outs of this OTK deck so you'll be able to be the problem on ladder. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe as I upload Genshin videos several times a week, and there will be more TCG content to come. Ayaka Yoimiya consists of two different builds that you'll see on ladder. Both of them consist of both Ayaka and Yoimiya, the namesake cards, and they usually differ between either running D-Luke or the other Pyro unit, the Fatui Pyro Agent. It's pretty much generally accepted that Pyro Agent's better, but if you're a D-Luke stan and you just want to play him, you can still make use of him, it'll be fine. Each game you'll try to achieve your game plan in relatively the same way. First, you open with Yoimiya, attack twice in your first turn, and develop cards such as Libin or Paimon. Afterwards, you want to end your turn by either passing first so that you have initiative, meaning you'll go first in the next turn, or by switching your active unit to your agent to tank a hit. On your next turn, you'll aim to use Yoimiya's burst on an enemy, giving your units Pyro application on attack. Now, you'll want to spend the rest of your die by beefing up your Ayaka with all of your cards. It's important that you aren't afraid to let Yoimiya die at the end of your turn, because this can let you swap into Ayaka for free if needed. Also, worst case, you can just swap to the Pyro Agent to tank a hit or two, and honestly, they kind of serve mostly as a punching bag. As the Fatui should. When you have the chance to attack with Ayaka, your skills will apply both Cryo and Pyro, instantly activating Melt, which deals quite a bit of damage. Thanks to cards such as Gambler's Earrings and Minty Meat Rolls, you can usually defeat all of your opponents in one turn. It's kind of absurd because they'll have 3 units with full health and then they're dead, and it's kind of depressing. If you have the chance to be greedy, I'd suggest using your Fatui Agent or even Yoimiya to tank hits while the opponent rolls through their die. Then you can pretty much attack with Ayaka uncontested. In order to do this, you might just have to spend your action switching between Yoimiya and the Fatui Agent back and forth. That way you're using 1 die for each of their attacks, but all that matters is that you can switch into Ayaka and get as many hits off as you can. Now that you have an idea of how the deck plays out, I want to help you with the Mulligan. The Mulligan Phase is the one at the start of the game in which you choose your starting hand. You get to pick which cards you want to keep and which cards you toss back. In card games, the Mulligan Phase is arguably the most important part of the game, as it lets you gain an edge where you otherwise can't. During the course of the game, you aren't able to choose what cards you draw, so the Mulligan Phase lets you have the most impact in the easiest way possible. Before I go over the Mulligan Phase, I just want to remind you that you should be pressing the subscribe button below, as I upload Genshin videos several times a week, and I'd love to see you guys back here. The Mulligan Phase with this deck is relatively straightforward. Things may change as the game develops and the meta evolves, but for now you're looking for your cute cards, and all you want to do is find them, especially the ones you can play on the first few turns. This means that the cards you should be looking for in the Mulligan Phase are things like Paimon, Timmy, and Libin. Also, Gambler's Earrings is a fine keep, as the card can just solo your opponent without much else support, so I would try to keep it if possible. If the build you're playing runs Strategize, I'd consider keeping it as well, as Cycle is a really powerful tool, especially seeing as in the first few turns you start with 8 die, and you'll attack twice, which is 6, meaning you'll have 2 left over. So being able to use one of them to draw 2 cards and then 1 to swap is really powerful, so keeping something like Strategize can definitely be a good choice. Last but not least, NRE is a really good card to look for early, as being able to cycle through your deck like with all of your food to just look for Minty Meat Rolls is so powerful and cannot be understated. Aside from the 2 base variations of the deck has also been experimenting with things like a Chongyun list that goes 2 Cryo, 1 Pyro, and it seems to be doing pretty well. I know Super 8 won a tournament with it, but these 2 builds are the gold standard for now, so I would just aim to use one of these. Now that you understand the Mulligan and the game plan, you honestly have a pretty solid understanding of how to play Ayaka. It'll take some getting used to, but when you do, the deck is a really powerful tool that you can use all over ladder and just dominate all of your friends with it. The most important thing you'll have to look out for when playing this deck is freeze comps. If the opponent can freeze your Yoimiya or even your Ayaka, it can be really hard to do anything. Currently, it's kind of hard to play around it, but the best advice I can give is just watch for the Hydro application and then swap out. If you notice Yoimiya or Ayaka is about to get frozen, just get ready to swap, let your opponent burn through their dice, and then you can switch back and attack. I'm not going to go too much more into depth because there isn't really much more aside from just taking the board, thinking about each turn proactively, and dominating your opponent. If you understand the Mulligan and the general game plan, you're in a great spot to play this deck on ladder. If you enjoy this quick dive into the Ayaka Yoimiya OTK deck and you want me to go over other decks, let me know in the comments which ones, and I'll make videos for them. I stream Genshin Impact and Genius Invocation pretty much every single day on Twitch, so find the link in the description below, and why don't we come play some cards together and hang out. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the meta develops, and I cannot wait to play more of this game. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, Cub Scouts.